They woke up rich. They went to sleep with nothing. In the autumn of 1929, the world learned a brutal truth. Money doesn't disappear with a bang. It fades away while everyone is still celebrating. For nearly a decade, America believed it had discovered the secret to endless prosperity. Stocks only went up. Banks encouraged risk. Newspapers promised a future where wealth was permanent. But beneath the optimism, something dangerous was growing. An illusion. This is the story of the day millions lost everything, and how belief itself became the most expensive mistake in history. After World War I, the United States emerged as the world's economic powerhouse. Europe was rebuilding. American factories supplied the globe. The 1920s became known as the Roaring Twenties, a decade of speed, noise, and confidence. Cars filled the streets. Radios entered homes. Advertising created new desires overnight. And above all else, the stock market became the symbol of success. Investing was no longer for bankers and industrialists. It became a national obsession. You didn't need experience. You didn't need savings. Banks offered margin loans, allowing people to buy stocks with borrowed money. Sometimes only 10% up front. As long as prices kept rising, debt felt invisible. Everyone believed they were getting richer, even when nothing real was being created. Shoeshine boys gave stock tips. Waiters discussed market trends. Teachers invested their life savings. When an entire society believes it cannot lose, loss is inevitable. Behind the scenes, warning signs were everywhere. Factories were producing more goods than people could afford. Wages stagnated. Household debt exploded. But stock prices ignored reality. The market wasn't reflecting value. It was reflecting emotion. Banks made things worse. Instead of protecting deposits, many banks used customers' money to speculate. There were no regulations separating savings from investments. If the market fell, banks fell with it. The system wasn't built to survive fear. It was built on confidence. And confidence is fragile. In early October 1929, large investors began to sense trouble. Quiet selling started. Prices dipped slightly. At first, nobody panicked. But fear spreads faster than optimism. On October 24th, Black Thursday, panic exploded. Millions of shares were dumped within hours. Trading floors turned chaotic. People screamed. Phones rang nonstop. The market plunged. Powerful bankers intervened, buying stocks to calm the market. For a brief moment, it worked. Newspapers declared the crisis over. But the trust was broken. 5 days later, on October 29th, Black Tuesday, the collapse became unstoppable. 16 million shares were traded. There were no buyers, only fear. Prices collapsed in free fall. Companies lost half their value in hours. Fortunes vanished between breakfast and dinner. Men who believed they were wealthy discovered they were buried in debt. Some walked away in silence. Others jumped from windows. The market didn't just crash. It shattered lives. But the real disaster came afterward. The stock market collapse destroyed banks. Over 9,000 banks failed in the following years. Savings disappeared overnight. Families lost homes. Businesses closed. Unemployment reached levels never seen before. By 1933, nearly 1 in 4 Americans was unemployed. Bread lines stretched across cities. Once proud workers begged for food. Children starved. Farmers destroyed crops they couldn't sell. Hope became scarce. The crash had triggered something far worse. The Great Depression. The government was unprepared. Leaders believed the economy would fix itself. They underestimated the scale of the collapse. Global trade collapsed. Other nations fell with the U.S. The crisis spread worldwide. An economic disaster became a global trauma. But history teaches a deeper lesson. The crash of 1929 wasn't caused by numbers. It wasn't caused by charts. It was caused by human behavior. Unchecked greed, blind optimism, debt disguised as opportunity. The belief that prices could rise forever. Eventually, reforms were introduced. Banking regulations, market oversight, safety nets. But the cycle never disappeared. It only changed its costume. Because every generation believes this time is different. New technology, New markets, new promises, but the same emotions return. Fear, greed, confidence without caution. The crash of 1929 wasn't just a historical event. It was a warning, a reminder that markets don't collapse when people panic. They collapse when people stop questioning. The question isn't whether it can happen again. The question is, will you recognize it when it does?